Now that we know all the warriors, it's time to have a look at the fighting and maybe even have a peek behind the walls of Troy. Hello, my name is Zairi and welcome to the Book 3 of Iliad. Without further ado, let's go! Iliad Book 3. The fighters stood ready, divided by their generals, waiting to attack. They moved forward, the dust on the battlefield swirling around their feet. At the Trojan side, Paris was in front of the Trojan ranks, eager to battle. Waving his spears around, he was looking for a challenge among the Greeks, trying to show himself as a bigger man. But unfortunately to Paris, Menelaus, the rightful husband of Helen, saw him, and his eyes sparkled. He could end the war right there. So Menelaus marched towards Paris, ready to fight. As soon as Paris saw him, he froze and ran back among the Trojan troops, getting lost in the midst of them, dodging the encounter. If you think, what a coward, you wouldn't be the only one, as when his own brother Hector saw him running away, he stopped Paris in his tracks. Hector towers over Paris. He calls him a coward, a good-for-nothing that would be better dead than alive, a disgrace. Where is the brave man who sailed the seas and brought home a wife of a warrior from distant lands? Paris stopped the slander right there. He will fight Menelaus. Even better! All the other warriors on both sides can just sit down and watch a duel between him and Menelaus. Nobody else has to fight. And whoever wins gets to keep Helen, and the war will be over with both sides signing a truce. This sounded like the first actually good idea Paris has had. Hector left his brother behind and got in front of the Trojan ranks, holding his spear in the middle, signaling that he doesn't want to fight. The gesture was noticed by Agamemnon, who immediately called off the Achaeans. Hector spoke. He spoke of the proposal Paris gave to him, the duel and the prize. Menelaus got up and spoke to Hector. It is a good idea. He felt sorry for the amount of sorrow him and Paris brought to everyone. Let them gather lambs to sacrifice to the gods. Also fetch King Priam of Troy. He needs to be the one to accept this oath to make sure the promise will be kept. After that, they should fight. And both the sides were overjoyed. The end of the war was in sight. The warriors moved the chariots away and took off their armor while they waited for the sacrificial lambs to arrive. Iris, the messenger goddess, saw all of this and rushed to the palace of Troy to tell Helen. She disguised herself as Laodike, the most beautiful of Priam's daughters. The goddess found Helen weaving. "Come quickly," she said. "Menelaus and Paris will fight while others watch, and whoever wins will also win your hand." Helen missed her husband dearly. She didn't waste any time and together with her mates Aithri and Clymene rushed to the gates hidden in her white veil. The elders of the city were sitting on the gates watching the battle. Priam was also there and he was the only one who didn't see Helen as a curse to the city. Instead, he called out to her to join him on the gates. She will be able to see her husband and former friends from up there. He didn't blame her for what has happened. King Priam only blamed the gods. And so Helen joined him on the top of the gates, and Priam pointed the warriors across the plains asking who was who, and Helen always answered, humble. When they got to Odysseus, Helen described his trickery and silver tongue. To that Antenor, another Trojan elder sitting nearby, nodded, reminiscing how he hosted Menelaus and Odysseus in the years past, and how Odysseus' voice could rival everybody else's. Helen knew and could see everybody on the battlefield except two, her brothers Castor and Polydeuces. Helen thought they either didn't sail here or didn't want to join the fight out of shame for being related to her. The one heartbreaking thing she didn't know was that her brothers were no longer alive. After that, Priam was called to seal the truce between Achaeans and Trojans. So he and Antenor left on a chariot together with the heralds carrying the sacrifices to gods. Of course, Agamemnon had to add in that if Menelaus wins and the Trojans won't pay the price for all the hard years, they will just keep attacking them. But let's ignore that for now. After the sacrifices were done, Priam and Antenor left to go back behind the safe walls of Troy, and Hector with Odysseus prepared the arena. Then they drew lots from a helmet on who would attack first. As they shook the helmet, Paris' lot flew out. Everybody sat down, ready to watch the duel. Paris threw his spear out, only to be blocked by Menelaus' shield. After that, Menelaus threw his own spear, which pierced the shield of Paris, but he escaped unharmed, the spear missing his body by centimeters. Menelaus whipped out his sword, but it broke against the helmet Paris wore. But that didn't stop the Greek, as he grabbed the horsehair of the helmet, ready to fight with his hands if he must. Menelaus spun Paris around and started to drag him towards the Achaeans. The strap on the helmet was choking Paris, and he would have died there if it wasn't for his godly patron, Aphrodite. She noticed her favorite just on time, freed him from the helmet and raised a fog amongst the battlefield, just so she can move Paris away safely. The Prince of Troy found himself in his bedroom, far away from the battlefield and safe. All that Menelaus had was an empty helmet. After that, Aphrodite disguised herself as an old woman and went on to find Helen. Paris obviously needed some cheering up, and Helen would do. The goddess found her on top of a tower with other Trojan women. She told her to follow. Paris was waiting for her in her bedroom, ready. But Helen realized this wasn't an ordinary woman. Aphrodite had troubles with making her neck too slim, and her breasts just too perfect for an old woman. And Helen has had enough. Why is Aphrodite doing this to her? Is she gonna take her away again when she finds a new favorite toy? Why doesn't Aphrodite sleep with Paris herself if she loves him so much? But Aphrodite was a goddess, and she did not have time for this. "Do not provoke me, girl," she said. What would happen to Helen if Aphrodite suddenly decided to abandon her from her favor? What if she shown hate to her instead of the love she has shown so far? Would Helen want to see the wrath of the goddess of love? Without any further words, Helen put her white veil over her and followed the goddess towards Paris. She entered his bedroom, sat by his bed, and started to talk to him. Aphrodite maybe forced her to his close proximity, but she didn't tell Helen to not tell Paris how she wished he would die under the spear of Menelaus. How Paris should challenge Menelaus again unless he is a coward. But the taunts didn't work on Paris. He couldn't have won. Menelaus had the help of Athena. But now she should shut up and join him in the bed of love. After all, there are gods on their side as well. And so Helen went. On the battlefield, nobody could find Paris. Menelaus was furious, and among all of this, Agamemnon stood up and spoke. By all means, Menelaus won the duel. The Trojans should return Helen now, together with the riches they owed them. To this the Greeks applauded, agreeing. The end. Genuinely, one of my favorite bits of the Iliad is Helen recognizing Aphrodite just because of her chess being too good. Like, of course. Also, in the Iliad, Paris is also known as Alexandros, but I have decided to keep the name solely as Paris in my summaries. I hope you guys will be okay with that. Thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye!